What's going on, everybody, on YouTube and iTunes? Steve Rakin here with episode number 20 of the Rakin Profit Show. Today we have Kristin with mommyincome.com, and we're going to be talking about her life as a stay-at-home mom and how she did over $500,000 so far in 2017 selling on Amazon. And she specializes in wholesale bundles, which is really, really exciting. So I want to welcome you, Kristin, to the show. And we've been having a lot of fun, like the last 5 minutes talking before the show. So we're like, all right, we're going to just hit the freaking record button. We got to get this live right now. But what's going on? It's really, really nice to talk to you.
It's great to be here. I'm super excited. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, awesome. When did we meet? We met, I know it was at a conference. We were talking about it before. Was it like 5 years ago or so?
It was 2014, 2015, Baltimore, some e-commerce momentum, something. I don't know. It was a conference there in Baltimore. Yeah.
That's when I took a trip. That's Chris Green and we actually rode up there together, and I was able to meet Steven Peterson for the first time, and I met you, and all I remember is we were just like walking down the street talking Amazon, and it was like, I don't know, it was a lot of fun. But here we are again, and you've been making a lot of amazing moves behind the scenes. You definitely caught my attention and reached out to you on Instagram and everything. But yeah, let's talk about your story, kind of like who you are, how you got started in this business, and kind of share with my audience your story.
Awesome. Well, I've been working through e-commerce. I started on eBay back in 2003. Basically to make ends meet. My husband has kind of a feast or famine job, and I had two small children with me, and I just started selling their stuff on eBay in order to, basically buy them new stuff. And so we started there, moved into Amazon, late 2008, early 2009. Just started with books, started with just trying to get my feet wet there because I heard about the opportunity. I'm like, oh, that sounds like fun. I can send stuff in and not have to send individual orders. So that was super fun. And so I started there, and I just kind of slowly inched my way up. A lot of people talk about, running in, jumping in, getting there, like $1 million sales or whatever. But we started slow because we had to live off the income. And so we started there, and, I don't know how deep you want me to get into the story right this second, but
go all the way in.
All the way in. Okay, great. So a little bit more about us. So about 2010, I had my third child, who was about a week old. And my husband was injured at work and could not work. His shoulder was really messed up and he couldn't work. And so we basically lost all of our income. We still had this little Amazon business, but it wasn't paying the bills for a family of five. So we decided to kind of jump right in. He needed surgery, he needed physical therapy, and it was like, this is now or never. We have to make this Amazon thing work for us full time because we have no choice. And so we kind of went about that year. I had a newborn. I had two other kids. My husband was in and out of surgery and physical therapy. And we actually did as best we could to build our Amazon business. But with a family of five, it was really difficult. And we lost our home, actually, to foreclosure.
Wow.
And it was a horrible, horrible time. But we still believed that this Amazon FBA business could really work for us. We just had to keep moving and keep moving forward. And so we've had people tell us, you'll never buy a house again. This is a tragedy and it was horrible and you'll have to rent forever. And we proved them wrong. We kept working on Amazon. My husband finally went back to work after about a year or so. It was sticky. It was a horrible time of life to remember. But we ended up buying a house less than a year later. And we've just been growing and growing and growing our Amazon business since then. And it's just been a whirlwind. It's been amazing.
All right. So that's freaking awesome. That's absolutely amazing that you were able to kind of grow your business and you were going through all the struggles and everything, and you were able to come out of it. So congratulations on that. So now that you've been selling on Amazon for a while, one cool thing I like about you is you're actually sharing the wealth with other people, and you've been kind of teaching all the different things that you do. And we're going to kind of talk about that. But before we do, how can people actually get a hold of you? How can people follow you? Because I know a lot of this, I don't know, I feel like this video is going to go viral because it's just freaking awesome. But like, where can people actually follow you on your journey and everything?
Well, we have a website where we teach different courses and do mentorship coaching packages. mommyincome.com, and on every social media that you can find, it's Mommy Income, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, if anybody ever still goes there. YouTube. Our YouTube channel has tons of videos and tons of free stuff. And so we built Mommy Income over the past. We started in 2014, and I say we because I started by myself for a while, and then I brought on a partner, Amy Fearman, who is fantastic. And we teach our show every single Monday night live, and then it goes on our YouTube and our podcast. So Mommy Income. The podcast is called the AZ Files, so you can find it there. But yeah, we've been sharing the wealth. Again, the thing is that the pie is big enough for everybody. Everyone can grab a piece of their Amazon pie, and it's fine. There's room for everybody to sell in different niches and different places. So I like to share because I didn't get where I was by myself. I learned from other people. I read Chris Green's book. I watched things on Scanner Monkey and talked to people and networked and went to conferences and just learned and soaked it all up. And I want to be able to help those who maybe feel hopeless. I mean, we felt hopeless at a time when, we lost our house, and single moms out there. I was able to retire my own mother from her job because she came to work for us, and we are Amazon business partners. So Mom and I do our whole FBA business together. She quit her job, and that the struggle is real, but the dream is real. And it's not just, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not all sunshines and rainbows, but it's possible and it's awesome.
That's really, really cool. So for anybody who wants to follow her, again, go check the links down below. I'm going to hook you guys up with all those different links. And one thing I want to mention as well is I actually go out thrifting a lot and going to garage sales with my mother. And I got her started selling books on Amazon about 4 years ago. And she was actually able to retire a couple years early and kind of take that Social Security, like that little pay cut, because now she's able to compensate with books. So it's awesome. Like, it's a great way to connect with loved ones and family members and stuff. So I really adore that, which is really cool. Kristin, let's talk about exactly what your business is all about right now, because obviously people know that you're selling on Amazon, and you mentioned a couple different things that you started off with. But can you kind of share like what your business is all about right now and the opportunity and whatnot?
For sure. So, we started typically like you did, garage sales, and we moved into retail arbitrage, buying stuff from retail stores, sending it into Amazon. And then we found wholesale, which worked really, really well for us. Went to a few trade shows, found some wholesale suppliers. But then we realized competition was kind of stiff in a lot of different categories, and it was taking a long time to find really decent stuff to sell on Amazon that didn't have 150 competitors. So we moved into making bundles, and we made bundles before when we did retail arbitrage. We did it with grocery items. We created variety packs and different things like that, and that was working for us in grocery. But we were trying to get out of grocery because it just seemed like such low margins and such a hustle. And as a mom of 3 kids, I don't always have time to do major, 80-hour-a-week hustles. I don't want to work that much. I like about 25 hours a week or so. It's about
I like that too.
And that's about what we're working now with the 2 businesses that I have. So with the Mommy Income stuff and then the Amazon FBA business. And, we'll get to that because I don't want everybody think that they're going to just jump in and work 25 hours a week. I paid my dues for a lot of years. But now we're doing mostly wholesale bundles. So wholesale bundles is buying from different wholesale suppliers and vendors and putting bundle packages together to make it more convenient for the customer to buy. So, a lot of people, we started in toys, when we started doing bundles, and we'd sell like, little toy sets with like a storage container that's perfect for fitting them in. Or, you sell an accessory pack to like a Leap Pad or something. You sell the headphones and you sell the case, and you kind of bundle things together to make competition less. So we created our own listings, took our own pictures or had pictures edited for us. And we are 95% wholesale bundles. And this has been our best year ever.
Wow, that's really cool. So when you're mentioning a bundle, like you said, you're taking 2 products, maybe 2 different toys, just as an example, and you're bundling them together, creating a new listing, and you're taking a picture. So now if that customer wants the blue toy and the red toy, instead of having to buy separately, you could just buy it in one listing. Is that essentially what you're doing?
Yes, that's what it is. We're taking 2 different, 2 are complementary items together. So, it could be a variety pack of, for example, like years ago, it was a little bit easier to do. Now with brand restrictions, it's becoming more difficult. But for example, about 3 years back, even we were making bundles, 2-3 years back, And we'd make like Nerf guns. So you had like 2 Nerf guns plus 3 packages of darts and like a holster or something for it. And we put it all together because especially during Q4, people want to buy like all that stuff together. Grandma wants to send little Tommy like a big, huge set of something, and it's way easier to just buy a Nerf bundle than it is to buy individual items. So we started there and just kind of built from it, and now we do all of it from wholesale vendors and use a prep center, and it just takes a lot of the work out of it.
Is there anything legally that you have to worry about bundling up different brands? Like if you were to bundle up like Panasonic and Sony or something like that, or can you essentially do whatever you want on Amazon? How does that work?
There's rules. There's a lot of rules. I suggest people read the rules. In our wholesale bundles course, we go through all of the rules and policies and regulations because they can be pretty strict. For example, if you're restricted in a category, in the category that requires approval, you cannot sell in that category, or you can't take items from that category and sell it in a different category just because it's in a bundle. If Nike, for example, is restricted for a lot of people, you can't just take a bunch of Nike products and then put it in a different generalized category because that's a restricted brand. You have to be very clear if you're going to mix brands, like you mentioned Panasonic and Sony. If you're going to mix those brands together, you have to be very clear about what is what. So you could sell, a Sony DVD player with, a surround sound system from Panasonic, but you have to read the rules because each category has some different rules. So, I'm not going to get into all the rules here, but, basically you have to list in the category for the most expensive item. So that's one thing. And then the next thing is not mixing. People want to understand that they're getting a certain brand. They don't want to get like a generic, something else with it. A lot of people try to throw in random things. So, reading the rules and policies, they're all spelled out on Seller Central, and you just got to be very aware of the policies.
This is really, really cool because, and I mentioned it before the show, like I've interviewed so many people, and we've talked about like traditional wholesale, private label, retail arbitrage, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, but this is really my first time talking to anybody about this bundling game, which is really cool because one thing I like about it is you're able to differentiate yourself from everybody else, which is so cool. Do you feel that being able to think outside the box and creativity plays a big role in wholesale? Because it seems like everybody, like even with like private label and stuff, it's like everybody's just like kind of like copying each other, right? Like, do you get to use your mind and really think outside the box with bundling and everything? Like, is that required?
Well, a little bit of creativity is definitely on your side if you have that, but you have to, you're putting things together. One of the things we're teaching in our workshop is kind of how to think like a bundler. Like that's one of the things that it's hard for me to just, all the things that go through my head when choosing a bundle, and creativity is part of it, but also it's just about what do people want and need, and what do they want and need at the same time. Amazon is all about the convenience. People want 2-day shipping. They want stuff right now. They don't want to go to the store. They don't want to pick out certain things to go with other things. They're just like, just give me this, for example, like a baby shower gift. You've got to go to this baby shower and you're just like, oh, I forgot to get a gift. 2 days later, it can show up at your door and you've got a diaper bag with some baby bottles and a little outfit and everything else to put together on a bundle. You buy it from Amazon, you put it in a bag, and you're out the door. People love convenience, and that's what the good thing about bundles is. If it makes sense to put the two things together, people it's one less button to click. And I know that seems really petty, but people are willing to pay $10 extra to not have to click through and pick 3 different things.
Is there a best type of product or category for beginners to get into when they start bundling? I know you had mentioned you had started with, I think you said you started with toys, right?
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't start there at this point. We started with toys years ago. The best place to start is probably grocery. If you're unrestricted or ungated in grocery for Amazon, I know they have restricted categories, but the best way to get in is that. First of all, it's low cost, so that means low risk at first for beginners that are just starting. Also, variety packs. So you can create variety packs. One of the first bundles we did was like a granola bar variety pack. So Costco sells like the 50 box, but you only get like 2 varieties, to where my kids want like peanut butter bars and they like the chocolate chip ones. They like the oatmeal raisin ones. So I was like, hey, why don't we try putting a bundle pack together of like all these different granola bars instead of just getting these 2 varieties? And it flew off the shelf. It was doing really well. So I'm like, okay, what else can we do? So creating variety packs of different flavors of things, candies, chocolates, cereal, drink powder mixes, anything that you can think of to put together. It's a really low cost of entry because you can go to your grocery store, pick up a few, send them in, see how they do. If it's a flop, you probably lost $10 and you try again.
Do you recommend hopping on other people's listings, or is it best to kind of reinvent the wheel and create your own listing? What are your thoughts on that?
Both. Yes and yes. I hop on people's listings if it's a listing that you can copy perfectly. So you can't just be like, oh, I don't have this variety, but I have that variety. Look for stuff that's out there. If someone's selling a 2-pack of Cheez-It crackers and you can get those for a good price, jump on it. It's not branded. It's not wholesale. It's not everything. But also, don't be afraid to create your own listings. The money is in creating your own listings and bring your own products to market. We call our bundle system poor man's private label. I've been calling it that for like 2.5 years, because you're essentially creating a wholesale, a private label product with your bundle until someone else can find you or copy you, which we teach some strategies on how to prevent that in our course. But essentially, you're private labeling an item by grabbing a couple things to put together that hopefully, and that's why we use the wholesale method, because I choose bundles from probably 3 different vendors. So it's very difficult for somebody to try and come and copy it, because I'm buying from this person, this person, this person, putting 3 different things together from different wholesalers. That's a lot of work for someone. And I have found that Amazon sellers are very lazy. They don't want to create their new product. They just want to do what everyone else is doing because that seems to be working. All the while I'm over here making truckloads of money creating my own product. So don't be afraid to create your own listings.
So, geez, you're blowing my mind right now with all this information. I'm like writing notes down, like, what am I going to ask next? For some reason, when you're talking about this, like my brain is thinking you're going out to like retail stores and doing like retail arbitrage to gather all this stuff. But you're actually, if I heard you correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, you're sourcing all of your inventory from wholesale vendors. Is that correct?
That is correct. Absolutely.
Wow. That's a game changer, because I tell you right now, nothing against any retail arbitrage people. I have quite a few friends who do it, but I just hate retail arbitrage. I'm going to be honest. Like, I think it's a good way to make money, but like having to go out to all the stores and running around like a crazy person, like, I don't know, man. Maybe when I was like 22, I could do it.
Try doing it with 3 kids and a husband with you. It's not fun. For years and years, we did retail arbitrage. I mean, that's what was working at the time, but you have to decide when it's time to change, when it's time to make a change. We realized it's really hard to spend $20,000 a week at retail arbitrage. So what are we going to do with this inventory money? And it became that's why I said early in the beginning of the show of, we work about 25 hours a week right now. But we didn't start that way. We started slow, and then we built up to where we were working so much because of the retail arbitrage. And we're like, we've got to make a change, because although this is still profitable, it's taking hours and hours and hours, and my family misses me, and this is not I'm a stay-at-home mom. I want to be home with my kids when they're home. Now, they're all school age, so they're in school, but then I want to be with them. I want to go to their things. I don't want to be like, oh, sorry, mom's got to run to do the store for another 8 hours to keep doing that. So we had to make a change, and we started looking into wholesale. And yes, we go to several trade shows a year. We go to America's Mart in Atlanta in January, and we go to ASD in March, and a couple other small shows, and we get catalogs. We build relationships with vendors. We actually have a couple exclusives because we do bundles in a different way than everyone else. A lot of people are told, no, we don't accept Amazon sellers anymore for wholesale, but because we do bundles, we've been able to negotiate with wholesalers to say, hey, we do things differently. Look at how we do things differently, and let us be your exclusive Amazon brand representative, and this is how we're going to represent your product. And they have said yes, and some people still say no, but most of them have said yes because they like that we're doing things differently.
Wow. There's like a lot of learning lessons you just dropped. You just dropped so many gold nuggets. It's like I'm going to have to rewatch this like 7 times. One thing I like about your business model with the wholesale bundles, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, is it feels like your business model is a lot safer than a traditional retail arbitrage route, mainly because when you're doing retail arbitrage, from my understanding, if you do get some type of like inauthentic claim or anything like that, I don't think Amazon wants to see the receipts anymore. They want to see that wholesale invoice. So is it correct to say that sourcing through wholesale distributors and having that invoice actually allows you to sleep at night a little better, knowing that if something was to happen?
100% yes. I have actually had somebody try to report one of my bundles as inauthentic. All I did was pull out an invoice, sent it, scanned it into Amazon, and immediately that went away. They're like, "Oh, we're sorry, we bothered you." Everything is purchased. Now we do a little bit of retail arbitrage too because I still love thrifting. I still love doing that, but I do that
It's
mostly
fun.
for my eBay business because I still love eBay, even though it's like a tiny percentage of what I do. I still have that thrifting, finding the gold nuggets in somebody's garage sale stuff. So I still do some
Yeah.
of that, but on Amazon, it scares me because of, copyright infringements or intellectual property or
Yep.
inauthentic
Same here.
claims that, I just pull out a wholesale sheet and send it to them. And I've never had any issues because everything I purchase is proven and legit from manufacturers and distributors.
That's really cool. One thing I was interested in, Kristen, was kind of in comparison to private label. A lot of the private label like teachers and just videos I've watched, they teach to go after a product that already has a market, that's already selling. And it seems like and I think they teach that because there's such a big investment, $1,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 to kind of get started in that product. But I feel like if I heard you correctly, you don't necessarily need to have a winning product. Maybe you could kind of touch on that a little bit more in terms of when you're like choosing that bundle. Because I know you had mentioned kind of like experimenting and trying new things out. Is it important that there's already some type of like, do you have a system in place to know like, okay, this is going to be a success, like it already has a market?
Well, we definitely do our fair share of research. I mean, you can't be in this business without being a researcher. You have to look at the data that's provided for you. Amazon provides a ton. Keepa charts and camel extensions help you show you what products are doing well. When I choose a bundle, I'm like, I have to be very careful that I'm not like teaching my whole class on your show. But, I want to share. I can't help it. But, when I create a bundle, I solve a problem for somebody. So I see a hole in the marketplace and I say, this is a problem because I really want this and this together and I can't find that at my local store. So I'm going to create this product for the masses because if I need it, I bet you there's another 100,000 people at least in America that need what I need to solve this problem. So when you're starting with a bundle, I've never even said this publicly, Amy's probably going to kill me. You have to
Oh
start
yeah.
with a problem and not a product. So what's the problem that you're solving with this product? And then go forth from there. That's where the research starts. Then you look at other things. Like one of the major things people do when they're creating bundles is people who bought this also bought this. And you're like, oh, I never thought that people would buy that with that. Does that make sense? Would people buy that together? Yes, and they put it in the cart. Now, don't look at that like, okay, people who bought hot sauce also bought, baby diapers. That clearly doesn't make any sense. But they're just shopping for their groceries. But, looking at things like, okay, people who bought we talked about Leap pads earlier. People who bought the Leap pad also bought the headphones and the case. That's a match made in heaven. Amazon basically told you what bundle to make. You want to look for those things and start to make it more convenient for your customer to be able to make a bundle for them because time is money, money is time, and people want to save both.
Wow, that's some really good insight right there. Thank you. So when it comes to the bundle, and maybe you could just kind of give me like a little broad insight. A bundle, when you say you were to find, that Leap item and then the headphones, you do a bundle those three items up. Do you have to put it in a box together or do you have to just put it in one big poly bag? Is there any tricks or tips you can give to people when they're actually putting the bundle together so Amazon doesn't get upset?
Remember that, yes, it will be a box or a bag, whatever is the most sufficient for your item. Some things only call for a poly bag. Like we did it recently. We did a unicorn bundle with a couple different plushies and then like this little small blanket. It was like a little unicorn kind of bundle, and it was more for toddlers, babies. And we just put it in a poly bag because obviously it's not going to get broken, whatever. But remember that your item is touched a lot. So you're touching it. Your wholesaler's touching it first, then you're touching it to box it up, bag it up. Then Amazon warehouse workers are touching it, then they're putting it on a shelf, then they're touching it again to ship it to your customer. So think about that process when you're bagging or boxing your bundle because you want to make sure it gets to the customer safe. Otherwise, you're losing money. So if a box is appropriate, then put that into your cost. If you're selling like a pair of, coffee mugs or something, bubble wrap in boxes and making sure that your
No poly
item,
bags for coffee mugs?
you would be surprised at what we have seen. So don't laugh at that too quickly there. We've seen some disastrous items before, but just making sure that it's safe and protected. You're protecting your bottom line. So make sure that you go the extra mile to package your items. So typical poly bags is mostly what we use. We don't do a whole lot of breakables. But occasionally a box is required. You can buy those through eSupply Store or Uline or any old place that has those things. Bubble Fast, we use Bubble Fast. We actually have a Mommy Income discount. So anyone who's listening, it's not an affiliate, it's just a discount. Anything on FBA supplies, use the discount code Mommy Income and save 10%. So
I can't beat that. Cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I got a very, very important question for you.
Okay. I'm scared.
Are you ready?
I certainly am.
Are you ready for some rapid fire? I've got probably about 7 or 8 questions. I want you to answer these.
Wait a second. Is this like the Joe Buck undeniable questions, like would you rather stuff?
No. These are on the outline.
Okay.
It's not like if you were an animal, what animal do you wish you could be? No. But if you want to answer that question, you could. I think I would be. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let's get into it. So 30 seconds or less, Kristin. Okay, no weird questions, I promise you. Until the end. What is one success story that kind of stands out in your mind when it comes to like wholesale bundling? You don't have to give away the super, super duper specifics, but is there any time of year or Q4 where you woke up and you had like an amazing day or anything like that?
You mean you want to talk product? Is it you want me to tell you a product that I sold, or just like
success story? You don't have to give too specific. Just a success story when it comes to wholesale bundles.
Okay, so I started a brand new niche in wholesale bundles in August, and I branched out into something a little bit different than what I was doing because I just saw this hole in the market. And I was like, I think I'm going to try these. So I looked up a company, found some stuff, put this bundle together, and it was doing just fine. And I was like, oh, wow, that's selling decently. That's great. So I'll branch out again. Well, I tried a holiday version for Halloween, and I sold every unit in 2 days. And I was like, oh, I grossly underbought because Halloween comes and goes so quickly that I didn't have time to reorder, and I was just testing. And so I was kind of shooting myself in the foot for that one. So I'm like, okay, let's try this for Thanksgiving, although it's not really a Thanksgiving product. You wouldn't think people would maybe use this for Halloween or Thanksgiving. And so we're like, well, I'm still going to try it anyway, because why not? And they all sold out. So I'm like, okay, how about Christmas? It is November 27th, and all the Christmas varieties that I've made of this particular product are already all gone. And so it's like, oh, even at this part in the game, I still underbuy, and I'm still shocked at some of the volume that comes through during Q4. So I guess you could call that a decent success story. So we're going with it. We're going with every seasonal holiday with this product that we can think of.
So this product, since we didn't mention it, hopefully you don't mind sharing. I'm curious on this super secret Mommy Income product. What are you netting it for profit on each one that sells?
Well, it's about $7 or $8 profit.
Wow.
That's not a lot, but it's something that we're selling 5 or 6 different varieties of each one. So that's a lot in a day. And so it's just, it adds up over time, each profit. I mean, some people don't even touch anything that's not at least a $10 profit, but these are so lightweight and easy to ship and sell that I'm so happy with the $8 each for each different variety of them.
This might be a hard question for you. Everyone always gets the first part of this question like easily, and then the second part they're like, because they just love their business so much. What's one thing you love about wholesale bundles, and then what's one thing that you hate?
I love about wholesale bundles, I love the fact that I can be creative and I can put different things together. I love that I can buy as many quantities as the wholesaler has. I love that they deliver it to me and I don't have to go out chasing it. I love that I can order and reorder and actually outsource the ordering and reordering and send it to the prep center so they can do all the work. What I hate is back orders. There is, like, especially for a bundler, a back order is like a stab in the back. It's like, oh, I can't put this bundle together because this one thing is back ordered for a month. So that's frustrating. The struggle is real, and it's extremely frustrating for back orders or dealing with vendors that are just, I have to hold my tongue there. I was trying to think of a nice way to say what I was thinking.
Jerks.
They don't know they're, never mind.
Next question.
Right. So there's some vendors out there that just they don't know their eye from their elbow. they don't know what's going on. They don't talk with each other. And then somebody thinks it's back ordered and then they ship and then they get the invoice wrong. So there's definitely, it's not all sunshines and rainbows for sure, but I do not like back orders and they're just a pain.
How much money for somebody who's maybe they're just actually let me start with the first question. If somebody is watching and they've never sold on Amazon before, maybe they've only sold on eBay, is it a good idea to start with wholesale bundles as the first way to be introduced? Is it possible? Do you have any students or anyone who's just got right in wholesale bundles and had success? Or do they usually start with like thrifting or retail arbitrage first from your experience?
Oh, that's a good question. We have shifted our thinking in this in the past 6 months for several reasons. The old me would want to say, start right away with thrifting and things around your house. And I would still suggest that for like your first shipment into Amazon. You want to get used to the process. You have to label things. You have to put them in bags. Usually you have to box them up, getting used to the process. So if you're brand new, start from books around your house, start from, things that aren't really going to cost you that much money so that you can get used to the process. But after that, I 100% want people to start with wholesale. Why bother going through step 2, 3, and 4 when you can skip to step 5 and start doing even better? I don't have any problems with retail arbitrage, but I do think Amazon over the years is changing rapidly when it comes to retail arbitrage. They're asking for people to prove that they're authentic, our items are authentic, and their Walmart receipt is not cutting it. Some people skate by with their receipts, but most people, Amazon's denying them, and then you're going to get yourself in trouble. So although it's a good lower point of entry, and we still do a little bit of retail arbitrage just because it's fun, but in reality, I feel like Amazon's really shifting and wanting people to be more legit. And in order to be more legit, it's just better. You're starting a business. This is not a hobby, you guys. I mean, it can be, but it's a legitimate business. You will pay taxes. You need to have an EIN number. You need to have a business bank account. I mean, we're not playing around. If you want to make this into a real income, then treat it like a real business. And so in order to do that, I'd say start right away. I mean, start as a legitimate store and get some wholesale accounts, but you have to put in the time for research.
Mm. How much money is required to get started with a wholesale bundle business, minimum amount? And I'm sure it'll differ.
It definitely varies. I would like to see people start with, $300 to $500. I see a lot of companies, it will depend on what niche you're in. I see a lot of companies, minimum orders are $300 to $500. Once you start getting over that 500 mark, then you start getting things like free freight, free shipping, deeper discounts. So you can get in for a couple $100, $200, $300 maybe, but it's better to really, just the risk is pretty low. I think that's why we do wholesale bundles, poor man's private labels, because you're not spending thousands of dollars and tying your money up for 3 or 4 months ordering something from China and hoping it gets here in all in one piece and things like that. I mean, I have no problem with that. That works for many, many people, but this works for us.
So I know you have a course on wholesale bundles. How long does it take if somebody was to get that? And again, I'm going to leave information down below for anyone who wants to check out your wholesale bundle course, which I think is super cool. How long does it take for someone once they go in there to kind of like go through? Is it like a video module? How does that all work? And how long does it kind of take from like, okay, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to watch the videos, and then I can start taking action? Obviously, there's always going to be learning curves, right? But like, what's that window look like?
If you've already have an open Amazon account, you've already been selling for a time, then wholesale bundles is just taking the next step. We walk you step by step through every part of the process that we use. Lots of people do wholesale differently, but we just walk you through the process that we use by setting up, being legit, finding wholesalers, reaching out to them, how to speak to them. We even have templates of like email templates of how you speak to a vendor, because some people are just so scared to pick up that phone and call them and look at their catalogs and things like that. So the course isn't super long. It's all video based and we have some downloads with it, but then it's not super long. I wish I knew how many hours it was. It's not a whole lot of hours. It's broken down into smaller videos so that you can take action after each step. So you've got the wholesale part first, the bundle part second, and it's just kind of that how to think like a bundle or how to pick products. And we show a lot of examples, but we're not going to tell you what to bundle. That's kind of up to you to do the research and figure out what it is you want to sell. And then the sky is the limit. We've got a ton of people doing wholesale bundles in our Facebook group, and they just love it. They love how it changed their business from retail arbitrage and struggling to find products and quantities and things like that, and restrictions and price tanking. I mean, if you're creating your own bundles, there's no such thing as price tanking. I mean, you raise the price.
I've got like a bunch of inside jokes with people. I have a friend, his name's Jameson, and every time we see each other, he just screams out tank. And it's just like, he's just always posting pictures of tanks everywhere. He's big into retail arbitrage. So Jameson, if you're listening, yes, you've been recognized. Cool. What I want to ask you was, for somebody who maybe they're just getting started, they went through the course, maybe they learned on their own, they watched videos, they did a little Google, deep diving in Google and figured out some things or whatever, they have a friend, whatever, however they do it. What's the biggest mistake you see people making those first 3 months when they get into wholesale bundles? One thing that you see it and you're just like, oh, if I could have just warned you.
It's not taking the time to fully think through what this bundle is going to be used for, who's going to potentially be buying this item, and also the photography. For the love of all things, take the thing out of the package before you take a picture of it. I mean, people are buying a lot of stuff from like the dollar store. It's a low point of entry, which is fine. People are buying stuff from the dollar store and they're, creating bundles with it, which is great for a lot of people. But they're leaving like the hang tags on, or they're leaving something in the package. It's like, it costs $1. Like, take it out of the package and take a proper photo of this thing.
I will not lose $1.
I'm telling you, and people do it. And we do bundle reviews as part of our coaching and mentorship package, and I've done several bundle reviews, and it's so hard for me because I want to give everybody good news, but the reality is, like, you didn't think this through all the way, and I have to point out all the flaws, but it helps people. It's just like, okay, next time, take this picture again. I have a good example of a pass fail when it comes to pictures. We had a bundle that we had taken a picture of and put it together, and all the keywords were there, and they were great products, and we didn't understand why it wasn't moving. And then I looked at the picture and realized the red item that was in it looked orange. The picture came out orange, and somehow we didn't catch it when we put it on the listing. So we took a different picture, we updated it to where it actually looked the right color, and it started flying off the shelf, and it's actually one of our evergreen products we still sell today. And that was like a year ago because the picture was wrong. So taking the time to track your item and see how it's selling, where it's selling, taking good photos, using good keywords, use merchant words, and use good keywords to make sure that you're building your listing properly.
Let's touch on we have a couple more questions. Let's touch on kind of like your routine and your rituals, because one thing I've noticed amongst successful people such as yourself who are doing really well, whether it's on eBay or Amazon or private label or wholesale bundles, right, is they have these specific things that they do on a regular basis. Not all successful people are working $50, $80, $100 per week. Yeah, there's, like you said, there's some startup costs involved and of time and investment, and you paid your dues. But what are some of your core routines and rituals that you believe have led and continue to lead to your success in your wholesale bundle business?
You have to stay organized, and you have to use time management. And the number one way we use time management is our 15-minute hustle. We wrote a book called 15-Minute Hustle, Amy and I have this chart that I use. And I wish it was handy. It probably is, but it's probably in the other office that I was using earlier.
No worries.
But every day I write down the top 4 things that I need to get done on that chart. And the end goal of the week is to get this many things done. And I use sticky notes and I use a timer. So I set a timer, especially if I can't be distracted. I mean, not every single day, 24/7, but like 2 or 3 times a week when I really need to stay focused on a project. Or I'm in my wholesale catalogs, I can be lost forever because it's fun to me. So I have to set a timer and getting things done. And I just do 4 things a day. I have to get these 4 things done today. I don't have a list of 20 things long, but I also have a master list that I work from. And the master list is, if I've got 15 minutes, this is great for, busy moms that are kind of doing a side hustle or whatever, is that you've always got minutes here and there. You don't always have an hour, but you might have 15 minutes to grab when someone's waiting to get out of dance class, or somebody you need to drive someone and you're waiting for them. So you pick something off of that 15-minute hustle list and you just take care of it. So I've been doing that since my son, my very wild, rambunctious son, was about 2 years old. He's now 17, so I survived. But he was such a curious George that I only had a few minutes at a time to get things done. So I started doing that. Like, what can I get done in 15 minutes? and just kind of worked from there. And so I use the 15-minute hustle to pick little things off my list that need to get done. Even if I can't get the whole thing done, I've got it done, I've got it started. And I work a lot with my own time management.
Wow, I like that a lot. I kind of have a similar system, and I agree with you. It's not about how many things you do, because you could do a million different things, but you could be climbing up the wrong ladder. It's really about choosing the right path and doing those most important things. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule. So really, really cool. I'm glad you dove into that. Last question is, what are your thoughts on the long-term sustainability and growth of wholesale bundles on Amazon FBA? Like we mentioned before, we were talking about retail arbitrage, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to I kind of crapped all over it. It's just not a personal preference of mine. And I feel like the long-term growth of retail arbitrage is slowly declining. I think a lot of us can agree with just the brand restrictions and whatnot. But what's your thoughts on wholesale and wholesale bundles in terms of long-term growth?
I think that the long-term growth is there. One thing you have to remember about Amazon is that it's always changing. So in the course of time that I've been doing Amazon, we've pivoted a lot of times. We've changed a lot of different things. We started with books. We changed from books to retail arbitrage. We changed from retail arbitrage into different forms of retail arbitrage, whether it be we changed categories or we started adding different things and getting to know more niches. And then we never really got too much into online arbitrage because it wasn't for us. We didn't love searching for different things and not having a hands-on view. But then we pivoted again into wholesale and then again into bundles. And that's one thing you have to keep in mind with Amazon is that by the time you get used to doing something well, you're going to have to change. But with that said, the positive side about wholesale bundles is also that we're pivoting again into brand registry. So we've created our own brand. And what we're doing is a couple of different bundles that we sell, and we stick within a very tight niche right now. We branch out a tiny bit, but we have a product that we don't necessarily manufacture the product, but we have special packaging that we use with our brand name and logo on it. So that's basically setting us apart almost as into our own private label without all the rigmarole. And so I think that's the best way to pivot long term for wholesale bundles is it making something your own. Because the reality is, if you are ordering from two different wholesale suppliers and someone else comes along and sees your bundle and they know where to buy your items, they're free to copy you until you have something that's uniquely yours that they cannot copy. Because you're supposed to duplicate exactly on a listing. So if someone's not duplicating it exactly, you can have them boot it off. And so we've had that happen, and we've decided to pivot into brand registry so that we can register one of our products that pretty much goes with everything we sell. So we're manufacturing our own product. Basically, the packaging is what we're manufacturing. It's not necessarily an item. So it's very low cost of entry. But again, it's that extra pivot that we're taking into making sure that our bundles are competition free.
Right when I thought you were out of gold nuggets, Kristin, you come out with that. I was not expecting. That was a really, really, really awesome tip right there. So that's it, guys. We covered a lot of information. I want to thank you for coming on. We dove into so many. This video is going to have a lot of replay value. So if you guys are enjoying this watching live on YouTube, be sure to like the video. If you're on iTunes, definitely leave an honest feedback. If you haven't already, check the description down below, iTunes, YouTube, whether you're listening to this or watching on Facebook, Instagram, check it out down below, mommyincome.com. She's on Instagram, she's on Facebook and YouTube, and she has the AZ Files podcast as well. It's all going to be linked up down below. If you guys are interested in getting started with wholesale bundles, because I know we kind of just dove into that, and I'll be honest, it's because I was really interested in it. And I thought you guys would be too. Check out her course as well. I'm going to talk to her behind the scenes. I want to see if I can set up something special. This is just off the cuff. I don't know if I can or not, but I think you guys would really, really enjoy it. So check the links down below. Do you have any final words for the people who are listening on iTunes or watching on YouTube, Kristin?
Just don't be afraid to try something new. Every single time we've looked into trying something new, it's been great. And yeah, it's not all sunshines and rainbows, but trying something new, especially on Amazon, is a great way to just bust through those plateaus and reach the potential that you want to reach. So don't be afraid to take a little risk and put yourself out there.
I love it. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. I know there's a million other things you could have been doing right now, but you decided to come on and help some people out. So really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming on. And hopefully everybody enjoyed this video. So until the next time, we'll see you guys soon and have a great day.